Testify brings you another Bible summary. Today we take a look at 1 Timothy. Let's get to it. The Apostle Paul spent many years traveling to start new churches, and he developed a large team of co-workers in the process. Timothy was one of them. Timothy was from Lystra, his mother was Jewish and dad was Greek. However, his mom and grandmother converted to Christianity. He was impressed by the young Timothy's passion and devotion to Jesus. Paul mentored him for many years, often sending him on missions to some of the churches he had started. When Paul heard about a group of leaders that had spread the wrong doctrine in the church in Ephesus, he sent Timothy to confront them and restore order to the community. After Timothy's arrival, Paul sent this letter to encourage him to fulfill his mission. Chapter 1. The True Purpose of the Torah. Paul sends Timothy to Ephesus to confront the leaders spreading false or strange teaching. He describes them as being obsessed with the Torah, specifically with the early stories from the book of Genesis. As we'll soon find out, they had developed all kinds of strange ideas about food, marriage, and sexuality, none of which were consistent with the teachings of Jesus or the apostles. Paul even names some of them, describing how their teaching has divided the church and generated controversy. Paul also says that the purpose of the Torah is to expose the truth of the sinful human condition, as it did for Paul himself. Paul closes with a poem that honors Jesus as king. He then calls Timothy to confront these men and shut down their false teaching. Chapter 2-3. Problems caused by corrupt teachers. In chapters 2 and 3, Paul addresses the specific problems caused by the corrupt teachers. He calls on Timothy to hold regular church gatherings and pray for the governing leaders of Rome and for peace. Peace in the land creates the ideal setting for Jesus' followers to spread their message about the God of peace. Paul then addresses problems related to men and women who have been influenced by the corrupt leaders in Ephesus. Next, he confronts a group of wealthy women in the church who were treating the Sunday gathering as a fashion show, shaming those who couldn't afford expensive wardrobes. Not only that, but some of these women were in leadership positions in the church, and teaching others the same bad theology as the corrupt teachers. Paul addresses this issue by saying that the women should not teach or lead in the church, making a reference back to the story from Genesis 3. Many people share different views on this. Whichever view you take, Paul is clear that these Ephesian women need leadership and a proper theological education before they are called to teach. Paul continues to address this leadership crisis, calling Timothy to appoint a small, healthy team of husbands and fathers who will act as elders or overseers to the church. These should be men of outstanding character and integrity who will work alongside a team of deacons. The deacons are a group of men and women who possess the same upstanding character as the elders and will lead the ministries of the church. Chapter 4-6. More problems related to false teaching. Paul's second section of instructions in chapters 4-6 are also centered around specific problems caused by the false teachers. Paul once again corrects their bad theology. They're telling people to stop eating certain foods and getting married. Paul appeals to Genesis 1 and reminds Timothy that God's entire creation is good, including all foods and marriage. All of it is to be received with gratefulness by those who know the Creator. Paul moves on to address problems with the church's care of widows. This important ministry was being abused by younger, wealthy widows. They would sign up for the church's support and then indulge in sexual relations, spreading gossip, and damaging the church's reputation. He made it clear to Timothy that only older widows from 60 years onwards, with no other family support, should qualify. For widows who really need it, the church should show the same love and generosity of Jesus. Next, Paul writes about problems among the older men in the church. Timothy is to respect their age but not their misbehavior, which seems related to alcohol abuse. Whatever they're doing, it's damaging the church's reputation in Ephesus. Timothy is to lovingly confront them and have them step down if they are in leadership positions. In chapter 6, Paul addresses a problem with some Christians in Ephesus who were enslaved and disrespecting their Christian masters. This was tricky for Paul. The gospel creates equality among all of Jesus' followers, but that equality must be implemented in a strategic way that doesn't compromise the mission of the church. If Christians become associated with slave rebellions, they will undermine the effectiveness of their message. Thank you for listening and learning. Stay tuned for 2 Timothy, which is also uploaded on our channel.